All right. How's everybody doing? Going live. I think I'm live on YouTube also. I wanted to try and have both. Let's see. I think I'm should be live on both. I don't know if I have comments turned on YouTube or not. I'm not sure on that. We've got the B cam. Put a little bit more light on the B cam. I think it looks pretty good. Like that's the light is behind it, so it's like you can see, gives it just a little bit more, just kind of fleshes me out a little bit more. I think it looks pretty great. We should be live on both. So, anyways, the whole purpose of today's video was to get on here and talk about how I keep going back to the habit of working two jobs 6 or 7 days a week and the excessive amount of burnout that I feel. And subsequent to that burnout, I don't have the energy or the motivation to pursue my passion, to pursue the things that I want to do. I want to create. I want to do more of the podcast. I want to build more of a community. I want to engage more with people, and I have so little time to do that. The days that I do work, it is 4 10s and then 2 12s, and then occasionally I'll even pick up overtime. And so I'm almost back into the same state of mind. Mentally, I'm in a better place than I was before, but it's exhausting. Like it just takes everything out of me. It takes mentally, physically, spiritually, and there's been some things that have happened in my life recently, either people that are close to me or people that are close to me through somebody else, that I see the amount of turmoil, I see the amount of heartache, I see the amount of depression, I see the toll it takes on their mental health, and I see tragic outcomes, I see heartbreaking outcomes, I see sorrow and hurt and pain, and I just don't I feel like I'm contributing to my own, and I just really don't want to do that anymore. I just really want to be in a better headspace. I want to strive for something more for myself. And it's so hard to do when you're just stuck in that same space. And I keep so it just remains in a state of perpetuity. Like the stress I feel from working the job, I wake up and I feel every day. The the frustration, like I'm more tired, I'm less attentive to my family, I'm there's just so many things that stack and build and just make me feel even worse. And I wake up with that same energy every day expecting a different result, right? Like maybe today I'll have more hours in the day to be more productive. Maybe maybe today I'll have more energy, I'll be able to commit more of myself, and then I end up feeling worse because I set this aspirational goal for myself, but I only have so much mental and physical bandwidth that I can commit to myself. And on top of that, like I commit to like cheap dopamine, right? Like I'm so guilty of spending copious amounts of time on my phone. I'm so guilty of I don't even want to say guilty of sleeping, like taking naps and resting because I'm genuinely tired because I still work nights. But I'm such a lesser version of myself for me, for my wife, for my family, for my friends. And teenage daughters require more of me. The friends that I have require more of me. My family, my wife, my partnership, my best friend, like they require more from me. And I can't even find the motivation for myself. Now I don't want you guys to think that this is just like all sob story or all woe is me, because I certainly don't want it to be that. But I have to make some kind of change. I have to. But it's the hardest thing for me because I'm so married to the grind. Like it's just, and it's not even like a grind that's moving the needle for me. It's just the grind. And I've seen it so much. I watched my mom do it. I watched at varying points in my life, I watched my dad do it. And so obviously they're not in charge of me. They're not necessarily, puppeteering the strings that move my life. But at the same time, it's what I know. It's what I've seen, it's what I've experienced. So it's consequently it's what I end up doing every time. Uh let's see what Jessica says. Jessica says, I'm sorry that you were feeling that way and going through it all, keeping you and your family in my prayers. I appreciate that, Jessica. Um, and again, I don't want to just get on here and pity party. So it I was driving. I'll spare you a lot of the details because a lot of it isn't my story to tell. But I was driving to a friend's funeral in Safford, and it was the first time in a very long time I allowed myself to completely disconnect. Like I actually turned my phone off for it's like a 3.5 hour drive. Turned my phone off, rolled the windows down, and was just sat, and I was just present with my thoughts, which I again regrettably I haven't done in such a long time. So I just let them in. I just tried to filter them the best that I could. And granted, a lot of them were kind of sad. A lot of them were kind of uh, tragic. The circumstances surrounding this person in particular were it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking to lose anybody under any situation or circumstance, but this one in particular seemed to have some to speak on some of his troubles in particular. And so I sat with the emotions and some of the memories I've made with him. I sat with what if I could have done more. And so it's I've been reading this book, and maybe you guys can relate, or you've read something similar or heard something similar. We think and process 60,000 thoughts a day. What I didn't realize is how much of my thoughts and my ideas and things that I feel are shaped by what I consume. And again, it makes sense, but when you're standing in the middle of it, I think it's harder to realize, like, do I actually feel this way? Like, is it actually constantly the sky is falling? Is it? Or am I creating, like, am I in a cocoon of my own making of anxiety and stress? And for the first time in a long time, I took the opportunity to just be still, be quiet, and be present with those thoughts. And it was good, it was rewarding, but it was equally challenging because I didn't realize how plugged into everything that I believe is shaped in some way by social media, what friends and family are saying, what's being sent to me. And on top of that, like, I always listen to music, so it's like I'm not as present with my thoughts. So I did it the drive there and I did it the drive back. And it's the first time I've connected to me in an incredibly long time. And slowly crept in, like, the idea that, dog, you're 38, right? You have a 14-year-old, you have a 13-year-old, you have a 6-year-old. My mind can't disconnect that in my mind, my 14-year-old is still my 6-year-old, right? Like, it's so hard for me to delineate, but time is so important. It's the only resource that we have that we can't get more of and is constantly depleting. And I give half of my life to work, whether it's through patterns that I saw my parents go through, whether it's through self-imposed stress to have more or want more or need more. And that there's no way that can be it. Like, there's no way that's it, right? Like, there's got to be more than that. There has to be more than wake up, pay your bills, and then just do that until it's your time. And then maybe you retire, maybe you've got some money set aside, maybe things go well for you. And there used to be a version of me that pursued life so, not necessarily haphazardly, but there were seemingly no thoughts or anxiety behind the pursuit thereof. It was just blinders on and push forward. Like, with whether it was my music, whether it was whatever it was that I was doing or going through, I would just blinders on, nose down, and I would grind. And I don't know what happened. I don't know what eroded or chipped away from that so much that I feel like the only value that I can add is the size of my paycheck in 2 weeks. And again, I'm grateful for it. I don't want the takeaway to be like, oh, here he goes, just complaining about his life. I know some people don't even have work. I can't even express. It's immeasurable to, especially as somebody who just came from losing what I believe to be my dream job. I'm so grateful to have an abundance of work. I really am, but I just receive so little fulfillment. And this is trying to be cognizant of gratitude. This is trying to be mindful of the things that I have, but there just feels like such a misalignment of who I am. It just feels like I'm shoehorning myself into the roles that I have to try and be a more present version of me, like who I am, and represent who I am in spaces where it just doesn't feel welcomed. And that's tough. Isaiah says, sorry for your loss, brother. I appreciate that, my man. It was it was tough. It was a tough one. He was my boss in Thatcher. He was my roommate for a little while, and he's just been a long time friend. My heart breaks for his family, really does. Papa Jim, love and miss you, D. Miss you too, Papa Jim. Miss you too. Let's see. There's far more than this, brother. You of all people know by us for your creative uniqueness. Find that kid again. Man, I freaking love you, Isaiah. I love seeing you with your kiddo trying different fruits. And I don't comment often, but I do tune in, man. I really do tune in. And I love that. I love that you are able to not only find that creative outlet for yourself, but bring your kiddos into that. Anyways, point is, this is where I feel most myself. This is where, and maybe maybe it is a need for attention. Maybe it is other varying things. Sorry, I forgot my Joe Rogan arm lights. Give me 1 second. No wonder people aren't watching. I'm just kidding. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we got them. Oh yeah, baby. Oh, they didn't turn on. What the heck? Yeah. Yeah, now we're cooking. Let's go. Now some people are going to watch. Anyways, I don't want the takeaway to be like, man, he's just getting on here and he's just complaining. I have so much gratitude in my heart for my health, even though it's kind of waning and there's a lot more I could do to be more healthy. I'm so grateful for the health of my family. I'm so grateful that we have a home. I'm so grateful that I have the means to provide. I'm so grateful for work, but it's still just not connecting. It's not connecting for me. And so I'll just put it this way. What I've noticed about myself, and as I've grown over the last couple of years, there's come a level of self-awareness that it's been both good, but it's also been kind of challenging because I keep putting myself in these roles where I aspire to plant that seed, nurture it, nourish it, grow it. But in some of these areas, it's not the right soil. In some of these areas, I can give it water, but I can't give it sunlight. And so it doesn't peak, it doesn't reach the highest level of fulfillments for me. And so it's not to say that it's a bad thing, because where it does connect is in my need to provide for my family, to have something steady, to give me momentum, to be able to have some sense of pride in what I do. But at the same time, it's so limiting in fulfillment. And again, maybe it's the nature of the work. Maybe it's because it's nights. It might be a lot, like a culmination of a lot of things that lead to why I feel the way I feel. But it is so disharmonious to me to be present in that space and give my best. And It's not reciprocated, it's not returned. And while there is value in knowing that I do that for myself, right? I shouldn't necessarily always need extrinsic motivation for it to be like, hey, a good job, or this was a good idea, or we appreciate you. Those things add value. I'm talking fulfillment on a much deeper level that I take and I try to build into the department, into my coworkers, into the environment, into the culture. And it's hard because what I've recognized is if you don't if you're not strategic in how you build that every day, it can lead to a lot of burnout. A lot of burnout. Samuel says, "Hey, yo, what's up, Samuel? How you doing, buddy?" Samuel has been a longtime friend, longtime YouTube supporter. We're friends on Facebook also. How you doing, buddy? It's good to vent and get it off your shoulders. And you going live and talking about it could also be helping someone else more open about things happening in their life. That's very true. And that Jessica, if I can speak on that briefly, that is where I'm starting again, recognizing and having a certain level of self-awareness. I am an empath. I thrive in social connection. I thrive in helping other people. I thrive in environments where I can flourish in that role. And there's not a lot of that where I'm at with work right now. And so I'm trying to supplement that or find avenues or create ways within the department. And it just doesn't, nobody seems to care. And so it's really hard. It's really hard to actively change a culture, implement ideas, and try to be present and be yourself when the culture seems to be antithetical to that. And it's not like the force is necessarily pushing down or against, but it just makes it expressly challenging to show up and do that every single day. But thank you for your comment. Keep pushing, brother. I will, Armando. You know that. I think I just, if I can add to that sentiment, I think I'm going to push more, but I'm going to focus how I push and what I push and where I push more specifically. Will it come at maybe potentially the expense of not having, keeping up with the Joneses or having the things or consuming as much? Probably. But will it allow me more opportunity to create, be more present for my family? And that's the hardest disconnect for me is it's like I I do what I know. I experienced certain things that have shaped certain beliefs and certain mechanisms in me. And it's hard to disconnect or disassociate from the software that was developed from when I was a little kid. I see the struggle, I know the struggle, I maintain the struggle. And again, I'm not blaming my parents. I don't want it to seem like that either, but it's hard for me to disconnect from that and be present in it's like no that's what you have to do to survive. And it's not. It's just not true. Papa Jim says, "Hey D, lost two people this week. Can't make this crap up." Papa Jim, I'm so sorry, my man. You and wifey have been through it the last couple months. So to add that compounding element, I can't. Jeez, I'm crow. I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. You have my number. You know how to get a hold of me if you need to air some things out, sir. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to you and Tamara both. Reach out, Papa Jim. I'll be going into work tonight. Uh, put some love on you. Give me a call. And so, anyways, it's maybe it's midlife crisisy, which I am approaching because I'm almost freaking 40 years old. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's a lot of things. Maybe it's the amount of loss. There seems to be this connection of that I'm not here for. Like I'm getting older, and a consequence of getting older is watching the people that you loved and admired as a kid grow up, get maybe they're unhealthy, maybe they're sick, maybe you lose them. If that's a continuation of life, which of course it is, it's inevitable, right? It's the one thing that makes us all uniquely the same is We all came here, we all die. It's one of the greatest unifiers is that that happens to all of us. I'm just ill equipped to deal with the loss. I try to be more present in those moments, and I try to give myself the time and the space that I need for those moments. And sometimes I do really great, and then other times it just the amount of introspection and the amount of thinking and the amount of sadness is just so overwhelming. And these most recent two, especially, one was by proxy, like it was through another person that it was made expressly challenging for me because I made myself more present in that person's life. And so I connected more to the emotion that they were feeling. That one was rough. And then the most recent one was somebody that was really close that I'd spoken to recently as they dealt with loss. And now we've lost them also. And that's I don't know. It's hard for me to not stop and just reevaluate. Like, what are you doing? What are your aspirations outside of just providing for your family? What are you? How can you do something more meaningful? How can you connect more with people? How can you help more people? How can you reach more people? And I've been so deep in thought. Like I said, I sat for round trip almost 7 hours because there was some traffic going back home, and I just melted into those thoughts. And maybe it led to overthinking. I have a tendency, if I can think about something, I will overthink something, and maybe it's a little bit of that. Maybe it's maybe it's a little bit of midlife crisis. Maybe it's a little bit of some of the things that are going on at work now. But it seems to be because it's coming from all directions. It seems to be ever present. It seems to be sitting soundly on squarely on my chest, and something's got to give, man. I'm so done not believing in myself, just waking up in the same energy, in the same mindset, with the same perspectives that are modeled through what I see. And like, I'm so done spending so much time on what I have to do and not more time on what I love to do. And that's it's just it's just time for a change. Just time for a change. What's up, Jeb? How are you, sir? Man, I know I've said it before, but that is such a good picture, Doug. How much did you pull on that? That looks like a what, 10 pounder? 10, 11 pounds? Man. Mercedes sends hearts. Hi, Mercedes. Hi, bestie. Ah, Dan says those feelings are what make us all human. It's true. Man, Dan is such a good guy. I was told I need to stop doing this, like putting love on everybody that jumps into the comments, but it's hard not for me to do. So Dan is great. Dan is the kind of friend that I really yearned for with where we were at creatively, wanting something more for ourselves, but I think it makes us all uniquely human, but it's also like for those people that can't connect to it or can't find that other gear to push them through it, it can lead to, again, such a misalignment, so much disharmony, so much dysregulation in your life. And that's tough. It's tough if you can't get out in front of it, if you don't have a something to put that energy into, if you don't have a place where you can go to talk, if you don't have people that understand, if you don't have people that listen. I can't imagine these thoughts, right, with as heavy as they are, and nowhere or no way to vent or outlet them. I can't. I'm telling you what I know enough about myself is I couldn't process this, without going live, without connecting with you guys, without having a space where I felt comfortable and confident to just open up and share those things. And so, to your point, Jessica, like you mentioned earlier, maybe it is because I'm able to vocalize them, people can connect with it, and by proxy, they feel like they're allowing or expressing those emotions also. And so, to Dan's point, those are all human emotions. How many of your friends do you? So, if it's all humans, How many people do you know that actively talk about or engage or deal with these in ways that are healthy versus how many people might just internalize or struggle in silence? And I don't want to do that. The one time I tried to struggle in silence, where I tried to impose guilt in grief, it led to probably one of the most unhealthiest moments mentally of my life, where I had all these opportunities and all this opportunity to flourish and thrive, to reach big potential for myself. And I made myself so small through internalizing and not talking and forcing guilt and blame through grief, filtered through grief, which made it exponentially worse. And so, yeah, it is very human. And I don't know if that's part of human nature also, is to not, or if that's societally, I'm not sure, but to not be vocal about those things. I've heard so many times with a lot of people that I've talked to, is they don't talk about it because they don't want to be a burden. And that's, consider how heavy that is. Like, that's, if the intention is to bear one another's burdens and be there for each other, and the idea becomes that you don't want to be a burden. That's so tough, man. That's so tough. We got here. Oh wow, I was following you in SMO on Reddit. Great to see you, man. Great to see you too. That's awesome. I haven't been on Reddit in a very, very long time. So cool to see a Reddit friend pop up in here. That's awesome. 4 pounds? That fish looks huge. Okay. Well, I don't fish very often, so maybe clearly my gauge is off. Hi, bestie. Sending you a hug. Currently having those feelings myself. Also trying to focus on what makes me happy. We are not machines. Mercedes. No, you are not. Despite that you are very much a machine in your ability to connect and love people, like you're a freaking machine. We're not. That I don't think that's it. I don't think we're meant to be built into boxes with our heads down. And gosh, you're awesome. Thanks, bestie. Thank you for that insight. I appreciate you a lot. Profound thoughts, Derek. Thanks, Dan. Thanks, man. It was really, really nice to connect with a Derek that didn't have to filter his thoughts and ideas through what he saw or heard on social media, and just to connect and be present with me. And it's something I wish I could say more. Like I spent more time with, but I'm just so ingrained and so plugged in sometimes that it's like, for the first time also, because this friend was so close and because I stood so close to that tragic loss, I just needed that time. I needed it. And so whether it's music, because I've always used music and food and so many things to allow myself to not connect with the feeling, right? Just feel the emotion and not process it. Either eat the emotion away or listen to music the emotion away, or deepen the emotion, but then have no place for it to go. And either, again, through consumption of food, through music, through media, through whatever else, I don't allow myself to connect to it, and I don't allow thoughts to be thoughts and to better understand them. And some you have to accept that it's like, okay, you have to connect with it, but then check it against something objective. And this is something therapy taught me, those cognitive distortions that we all experience, the should haves, would haves, could haves, the I'm not worthy, all of those things. It's like, making a bad decision doesn't make you a bad person. Both things can be true. You can be a good person that makes a bad decision. You can be a good person that did a bad thing. Both things can be true. But it's when we take the narrative of that and we allow it to become the story about ourselves and what we tell ourselves. I don't think people fully understand or perhaps fully appreciate how much what you say about yourself and the thoughts that you have about yourself control and dictate your outcomes. And I'm not a professional, guys. I'm just somebody that has lived and experienced this. Connect it to reality, connect it to something objective. And it's so hard to do sometimes. It's so hard to, especially in an emotional state. But I'm reading a book right now that I find so fascinating, talking about how it has to, like, emotions have to pass through the limbic system. We have to feel the emotion first before we can rationalize, think, and process. And it recounts this story of this guy that's being this surfer that's out on the water, and he sees a shark fin approaching, and he's like, and he's way out, like way out with the tide. And he he had to experience the fear first, right? He had to pass through the emotion first. And then he could connect with, okay, how am I going to get myself out of this? What things can I do? But you need the fear first. You need to be able to respond and react. Like there's certain things that are methods of survival. What's challenging is our brains can't delineate the fear of stress, the fear of anxiety, the fear of work, the fear of these things, and separate it from any other rational fear, because our brain sends the same signals. Our brain will tell us the same thing, like, don't do that, don't go there. So a lot of the times we end up reacting in the emotion. And then as we're able to stop and process and feel and think, then it's like, okay, rationally, how can I move past this? Rationally, how can I explore the truth of what happened and take the emotion out of it? And I see so many people, myself included, this isn't an indictment of people that I've talked to, myself included, don't give sufficient time to the processing of those emotions, the processing of what's objective, the processing of what can I learn from this experience. It just stays emotional. And if you stay in this cycle of emotion, the implications there can be, oh my gosh. Let's see. Genuinely, your videos where you used to exercise and sing push me into the journey I'm on now. That's so cool, man. That is so awesome. Thank you for that comment. That's so cool. Proud of you for that commitment to yourself. And I'm equally proud of myself for putting myself out there, and as a result that I was able to help you. I really needed this comment today. Thank you. Just signed on. Can you please provide a quick synopsis so far? Uh Joshua, my friend, just going through having experienced some loss. Uh Not that all loss isn't tragic, but the two most recent have a heightened amount of tragedy around them because of the nature. Just a lot of introspection, a lot of focusing, a lot of really focusing on me and my thoughts and my life more generally, and exploring some directions that I'd like to go and be able to reconnect with not only my passions, but this community of my peers and these people that have surrounded me and loved me and supported me, regardless of how present I've been. I hope that's a good enough synopsis. I still go back occasionally, as it made me smile so much. You had the cojones to do that. I wouldn't. I As I go back and watch some of them, I almost kind of cringe, but I'm that's awesome. I'm The idea that I made something that people still go back and watch and it brings them joy or fulfillment or pushes or motivates them. That's, gosh, I'm so glad you jumped on. I really needed these comments today. Thank you so much. Thank you. Uh, the world needs people like you. I'm assuming you meant you, bro, but probably you could say I, because they need people like you also. I know I certainly do. Looking good, brother. Hope you're doing well. Likewise, my man. James, you absolutely handsome devil, you. Dan, we often don't get the time to actually process our emotions before needing to move on with life. You have to make that time. Dan, absolutely. I haven't honored my emotions in such a long time. I took them to a negative place, framed them in a negative structure, and then just allowed them to sit and fester. And it created so much resentment for myself that I had to stop. And it's like, I built the frame that these are in, whether it was through thought, whether it was through not processing those emotions. And we're talking about things that happened so long ago that just because I've built that frame, it's like my mind is able to filter them enough that it's like, okay, that one matches this, put it here. And so rather than ever processing the core emotion, I compound, I fortify the framework of the emotion that then triggers certain responses that I'm not even anywhere in control of, whether it's my eating, my content consumption, like because I frame these how it is in my head, how it is in my mind, how I treat myself, how I allow myself to think about myself, and then I fortify the walls of that framing with more like of the same likeness emotions. And then it's solid and it's even harder for me to break in and break through because I didn't honor them. I framed them negatively, I stored them, and now I have no ability to process them with the exception of food, sitting mindlessly on my phone so the chemicals just dump into my mind and I don't have to think about them and I don't have to process them. That is so hard. Like that has been I feel like I've been a ghost for the last 2 years. Like I've just been outside of myself watching myself like, "Come on, dude. Do something. Get up, put the phone down, like do the things that you love." But then those framed, fortified emotions just sit and it's like it's like quicksand. It's like the more I try to wriggle out from its power and its pull, the more I'm just pulled further in. And for the first time, I'm not just saying this hyperbolically or to create a moment. For the first time in probably 3, 4 years, I didn't, my phone was off. And I just sat with those emotions, the emotions of loss, the emotions of hurt, the emotions of sadness. And I just allowed myself to feel them. That was so tough, dude. That was so incredibly tough. But being able to recognize that I needed that, it's like, no, put the phone down, turn the music off. And I'm telling you, it was just the sound of the highway. And if I don't know if any of you that have been in Arizona have gone through the 60 towards from Phoenix to Thatcher, it's gorgeous. It's mountainous. And because it's cold, there was snow on Mount Graham. And I just connected to everything that was around me, the sounds, the smells, the sights. And even before, as I was getting onto the 60, I pulled off on the side of the road and I put the windows down and I just stopped and they call it box breathing, but like 3 seconds in, hold 3 seconds, 3 seconds out. And I just let, let my mind cleared my mind of because again, 60,000 thoughts a day is so many. And when the majority of those aren't healthy or aren't moving the needle or the ledger in your favor, imagine that. Imagine what 10% of 60,000 thoughts a day are negative, how that can impact you. Consider that. Imagine what 30%, imagine what more than 50%, what kind of mental state that would put you in at 60,000 thoughts a day. And so to Dan's point, we don't have time. So it's like, if they're just compounding, build, 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 what kind of outcome are you going to make for yourself? And so for the first time in probably 3 to 4 years, I allowed myself to just be present with those thoughts. There was a lot of unprovoked crying. There was a lot of introspection. There was a lot of disconnecting with certain feelings that don't serve me anymore. Anyways, let's get some comments. It is much harder to process emotions when you are working and sleeping and just existing. Fair point, Joshua. Good on you for intentionally setting aside time to do this. I hate that it was in wake of something tragic, but I'm equally grateful that I did commit that time to myself. I appreciate you saying that, Joshua. I appreciate you and our friendship also. In the event I don't say that enough, because oftentimes we just send silly, giggly things to each other. Joshua, your friendship and the consistency of it have been one of the few lights that I've been able to focus on, one of the few boats that are going against the tide that I've been able to hitch myself to. And I am expressly grateful for you, friend. I hope you know that. Some more comments here. Much love, brother. It's always good seeing a smile and positive energy. Keep that up. Thank you, James. I'm able to keep it up because I got people like you in my life, dude. I hope you know that. I really do. Men are not allowed to be vulnerable in today's society. Sometimes you don't need a good plan, just a set of balls. Fair point, George. I can't argue with that. Doesn't seem like there are enough spaces where men can be safe and vulnerable at the same time. Sometimes it is just sack up and make it happen. George is a good man. George is a good friend, and George is someone I genuinely appreciate. Alan says, every day I wake up, I think, how can I get rich today? Amen, man. Amen. Oh, man, long comment. Sometimes just unplugging is very much needed. It's therapeutic at times. Acceptance is a huge tool, brother. In those harder times, we forget to accept things as they are. Makes it harder, but when that finish line is crossed, it's worth every moment, bro. Don't give up, stay positive, but let yourself feel and experience life. Amen to that. And I'm grateful I took the time. I hate, again, the circumstances that it was around. Like, I hate that it took multiple tragedies in my life and tragedies to people around me that it was just like, hey, dog, stop. You can't keep going like this. Enchanted Ender just joined. What's going on? Just talking through some emotions, processing some things, and been going through it a little bit, and just came on here to let some things out. So I appreciate you jumping on. Sorry I can't give a better synopsis, but I think we're like almost an hour deep. I know it's not easy at all, but you have to take time for yourself or you're going to feel like a robot. Absolutely. Silly, giggly things for the win. I appreciate you too, my friend. But anyways, so I built myself. I framed those ideas. I compounded those thoughts, and they manifested in ways that I was even less in control of, despite the fact that I thought I was, despite the fact that I was, because I was putting them into containers, that I was doing a good thing for me, that it's like, okay, channel those, funnel them, put them in their respective places, but don't deal with them. Don't feel them, don't process them, eat them away, consume content media, like do that. Like, don't connect to them, don't feel them until the levee breaks. And when the levee breaks, it's a burden I didn't anticipate. And it removed me from a sense of self. It removed me from my passions. It's removed me from connecting with people. It is so incredibly isolating. And I think a lot of people can connect to that because it's like we feel like nobody could possibly understand what we're going through. And then the moment we talk about it, everybody's like, dude, same. No, exactly, same. And it's like, whoa. So that's a lot. Oh, Serena. Oh my gosh. Good to see your name pop up. Hope you and hubby and the kiddos are doing good. Emotions can get the best of us. Talking through issues definitely makes a difference. Remember, it takes time also. So very well said, Serena. Thank you so much for jumping on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Thank you for your insight here. It does take time. And what I I always took for granted, maybe you guys have heard this, that life is 10% of what happens and 90% how we react. But the more I've better understood myself and my emotions, it's like, I don't know that anything has become more true in my life of an emotional response to the 10% and how it dictates and manifests and controls the other 90. I'm grateful that I'm understanding and better realizing that, and that I have more acuity and self-awareness towards certain things now and how I respond. I don't want to say it's too little too late, because it's better late than never, but it's what I allowed myself to sit in for so long. And it really was by my own design, by not going through things, right? Just kind of skirting around the perimeter. And sometimes the only way, and I even give this advice as I talk to people that are going through things, it's like sometimes the suck just has to suck. Sometimes those challenging emotions just have to be challenging. Sometimes you just have to forge through them. Sometimes you have to allow yourself to just feel them. And I give that advice and then deny myself that a lot of times. Serena, thanks so much for jumping on. Elias, what's up, buddy? How are you? Everybody should go subscribe to Red Brick Studios on YouTube. That's my nephew. Pretty sure he just passed me with subscribers. Such a great kid. I just love you, kiddo. So proud of him. He does stop motion animation stuff, and he's just the coolest kid, man. If you or your kiddos are into stop motion or Five Nights at Freddy's or Mario or Zelda or Sonic or any of those things, have your kiddos go follow him. He's, oh, love you, buddy. Thanks for jumping in. Oh, Elias, I found the piece to the mic. I don't know if your mom showed you, but you'll actually be able to connect it to your desk now. I found it. I went through and I cleaned the whole office and I found it. So you'll be able to do that now. Anyways, guys, just some thoughts, just some ramblings, just talking through some things, but I'm grateful for all of you. I'm grateful that I allowed myself the opportunity to sit and be present with my thoughts, because they've just been mounting, and I feel like I get less and less in control of my life the longer and the further away I remove myself from them. And I start to get more and more out of control, and I'm starting to better see the grip that emotional eating has on my life. I'm able to see and understand, like, oh, okay. When I don't allow myself to process, feel, experience, pass through, and be better on the other side, I eat those emotions. I disconnect from my family and I sit mindlessly on my phone. It's like I just disconnect. Like I said, it's like being a ghost of myself, watching myself, and the ghost of me is like, dude, get up, do something, shake this, rattle this, like, be present. You can do this. And yeah, that's tough. Serena says, it's been so long since I've seen you and your family. Glad I caught you while you were alive. Glad you did as well, Serena. I really hope you guys are doing well. Not that you have to answer on here, but if you want to DM me, where are you guys at now? I'm sure my kids are grown, so I'm sure your kids have grown up like crazy. Hope you and the hubs are doing well. Gosh, so cool to see your name pop up. That's awesome. Love you, bro. Remember to take your time out of your day to do you. If I can impart any wisdom, despite the fact you guys are sharing it with me in abundance, take that time, man. Feel those emotions, process those emotions, go through what you need to go through, allow yourself to connect to it, because otherwise the propensity that it will eventually control you in ways that you don't expect or that you can control, that manifestation can be so all-consuming. And it's never, for me anyways, been a vice. It's always been a vice. It's never been a virtue. Like I haven't, because I haven't been allowed myself to go through it. I can't transcend to, like, I take the negative and I'm able to turn it into something positive. Now, I have before in the past. I'm not trying to just dog on myself entirely, but without that transcendence of going through it and experiencing it and allowing it to be an empathetic process for yourself so you can see, feel, and experience when somebody else is going through it. It's almost like because I didn't experience it, I was selfish with it, right? And then so it's like, here's one brick of emotion. It's like, nope, that one's mine. Here's another one. Oh, that's another one. Start to pile on my back. And then before I know it, I'm just like, why is this so heavy? Why is this so hard? It's like, put it down, deal with it, express it, feel it, explore it, and then let it go. Anyways, I feel like when we stop loving our hobbies and what we are passionate about, we start to get lost in a void. Alan, you have to have something to look forward to after work. Easier said than done, obviously. It's so true, man. Alan has always been wise beyond his years, equally hilarious. Alan has such a special sense of humor. So grateful for you, man. So grateful for you. Such a oh, what a poignant comment, and it's so true. What did I miss? You okay? Yeah, Chase, I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I'm actually better now because I allowed myself to process some emotions and actually sit with them as opposed to drowning them out or numbing them through food or social media or content or otherwise. And I haven't done that in a long time. And I didn't realize how much it was missing, but like just unplugging and disconnecting for a little bit to just let them be what they are. Man, good seeing you are still out in the world. If you need someone to hit up, I would be happy. Happily be a sounding board. Man, words is hard. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I don't know if we're connected anywhere else, Facebook or otherwise. I know you can't DM through YouTube, but if we're not, I mean, it's Kid Picked Last on Instagram, or you can jump over to Facebook. Maybe we can DM each other and talk through some things. But I really appreciate that. I'll send you a PM on Reddit if you remember your login. I'll try. I will definitely try. Ever try to puff pass? See, I told you, Alan's sense of humor. I'm telling you, he's that guy. You gotta feel him, bro. Like Pop said, what are you holding it for? That's crazy from a non-vet. Love you, pal. Love you too, man. Yeah, good on your pops for recognizing that. And what's hard is like I do know that. I do recognize that. But again, I got selfish with it. And I had my buddy Nick and I had a conversation one time where he just like you want to talk, you want to be expressive, you want to do those things, but he just left some space. Like asked a probing question and then just left some space. And he didn't even like it didn't even beg, despite being a question, it didn't feel like it warranted a response. It was just probing enough that it's like it cracked the shell, the fortified shell that I put the emotion in, and it just let a little light out. And so it's like not even expecting a response, but just like, oh man, put the chink in the armor, and it's like, hey, what is that? How why is that feeling lighter? Like, what are you doing? And it was great. And then from that, I opened up about a couple things in particular that I'm not even sure if my wife knows from my past and things that happened with my dad. But because I'd been so resolute, I've been so resigned to just holding those. Like those are mine. Like the pride that came from like, no, you don't understand. That shapes who I am. That's what makes me me. Those are my things to hold on to. Just clutching at them instead of putting them down, instead of letting them go. It's like, no. This is my burden. I've carried this for so long. Those are mine. And just the right question at the right time. And I was just like, man, you're right. And that's tough. It's tough to give up a part of something that has shaped part of your identity, part of who you are. It's so hard to relinquish that. But when in reality, it's just a negative emotion that you've clutched to and you've clung to for so long that it's, even though, yes, it has shaped you who you are, it's like, Just let it be that. Release the hurt of it, reframe it, and allow it to help you transcend to be better, to better connect with other people who go through that. And that was tough. Nick's a great best friend, and I'm super grateful for him. Bob, what's up, Bob? How are you, sir? Man, that vet is nice. Derek, you can do it. Just go for it. Thank you, sir. And so, like, there's a version of me that's like, "Oh, that's so simple," but it's true. It's true. I I hold it by my own design. I carry it, and equal to that, I can let it go and I can just go for it. So, thank you, Bob. Miss you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. You know, I'm always available for a call or message anytime. Crazy how much light can change the dark. Yeah. Yeah, it is crazy, Chase. It is crazy indeed. But sometimes just putting light on it and just like, hey, no, like just let's just talk about it. Let's just look at it. Let's just explore it. Man. Freaking Alan, dude. As a wise man once said, giving up is just a thing of the past. Saying goodbye to going nowhere fast. Alan will randomly message me screenshots of him listening to that song on Spotify, and it not crying on alive, not gonna do it. Uh, man, I didn't even know when I wrote those lyrics and I recorded them just how much I myself would need them. Like drop the burden, but learn everything from them. Like carry a flash drive, not the computer hard drive. Amen. Take what you can learn, what you can experience, how you can grow from it, and leave the rest. I reckon you'd be really good at poetry. I reckon. I used to love writing. I used to love writing. One of the few passions, even from high school, that one of my favorite teachers, her and I didn't actually get along very well when things first started, uh, made me such a better writer and allowed me to connect to a lot of things. Mrs. Johnson, um, she was great. So I love poetry. I love writing. I love music. I love expression. I've just denied myself that for some time. Anyways, guys, I say all of that to say I am okay. I am okay. Like I'm not in full meltdown mode. Like, whoa, I'm good. I promise. I'm good. Just for the first time in a long time, I explored some feelings that I had bottled up otherwise. And because for the first time in a long time, I was able to start recognizing it's like, hey man, you're not actually in control right now. And it's scary, it's challenging, it's difficult to accept and admit, but you don't change it if you can't go through it, if you can't recognize the impact it's having. At least I can't. And so that's where I'm at. So I'm going live again. I'm trying to be more present in the things that I love. Is there any way to turn your audio volume up more? I can certainly turn the mic up more. Does that help? Turned up the mic some more. Hope that helps. Keep pushing forward and take care of yourself. You're a great guy with a big heart. I know life can be hard, but you have to give yourself time to feel and heal. Enjoy your day. Thank you, Jessica. Thanks for jumping on. Thank you for always offering such incredible insight, for being present in these lives with me. I appreciate it. Yes, thanks. I'm an old man. Sorry. Quit the ish job, brother. So that's what the whole video is about. Which is it's like, whoa, what? I'm considering not working 6 days a week and just committing to the hospital job and doing the 410s and allowing the 3 days to be a creative version of myself. Less of the things I feel I have to do, more of the things I love to do. Always good to see you as well, Joshua. What a beautiful picture of you and your wife also. I love how big I can make these. And now that I've put them on the side, it looks like I'm actually looking at you and talking to you. I think that's kind of a nice touch. But thank you guys for jumping on. Thank you for listening to my ramblings. I hope those of you that might be going through something silent were able to connect with the spirit and the underpinnings of the message. And I hope in some way that they allowed you to express and feel the things that you're going through. And I mean that sincerely. I hope that it brings you some semblance of peace. I hope that it brings you joy. And I hope that in the long run, as you go through whatever it is you're going through, it's able to bring some restitution and some peace. Truly grateful for all of you for coming on, being a part of these things with me. Wow, good on you. Thank you. I'm a lucky man. We both married up, Joshua. We both married up. Anyways, I love you guys. Thank you for being a part of this with me. Oh, we got some more comments. I'm sorry. You see, you have the right mindset. You know what you need to do. Your tongue is the sharpest tool. You tell yourself you can and you will. Alan Zonick. Big dog. Oh no, Andrew, I'm good. I promise. I'm good. I swear I'm good. I promise. Just wanted to come on here and let myself feel some things. Awesome, dude. Peace. I will try to log into my Reddit. I'll have to re-download the app. I haven't had social media on my phone in a little while, but would love to reconnect. I think that'd be really cool. So thank you for jumping on and reaching out. Love you, brother. Follow the passion. If this man has been definitely one of the biggest supports and the person that's helped drive my continuation for a lot of the things that I care about. JJ, Mr. Schwinn, Sergeant Schwinn is a special man and one that I am eternally grateful that this life allowed me to connect with. And that's him in a Burger King crown. Schwinn is a special man with a very special sense of humor. He's quick. He's so quick at beating me to the dad jokes sometimes that I'm even like, I have to stop. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is. Love and miss you, brother. Grateful for you. Brother, I love you. I love you too, Andrew. I really do. I'm so sorry. We definitely need to talk soon. Definitely. Derek, I think we all really need to thank you. We're all going through the same stuff, and you put some light in the dark. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, man. Oh, I'm here if you ever need to connect. Just shout out. I know and I believe that, Joshua. I really do. I'm sorry. I'm just going to go back to this one because it's like to give purpose to what I've been going through. And like, even if it just reaches one person and it helps, like, dude, that's love you, Alan. Hope you and fiance are doing good, my man. I hate you up on Insta already, like super stalker. I'll have to re-download Instagram. I will. I promise. I'll do it when I'm done here so we can reconnect. That's so awesome. Thank you so much. I wake up and think, wow, I really have to do this every single day. What an ish life we all have to live sometimes. And that's tough, man. Gratitude, expressing and exploring gratitude has helped me a lot. I started a gratitude journal, and just to be so intentional about recognizing the things that I do have. Otherwise, the mundane and the challenging and the difficult, especially if they're filtered through the lens of repressed emotions. Think of how much more taxing and daunting that you can project onto what's already mundane and repetitive. Like, just consider that. Like, I have to force myself to put on the rose-colored glasses sometimes so I can see so much more of what I have and what's present and what's meaningful. But you can only do that for so long. You can only supplement before, like I said, you have to go back and filter, like process and go through those emotions, because otherwise that rose color starts to get a tinge to it. It starts to turn gray, and then the gray turns to black, and then the black starts to further shape the already mundane and the expressly challenging that you go through in your life. And so, what was once rosy and beautiful and added a tinge of life that you could see and feel and express just becomes gray, becomes dark, and it alters. And so, you're standing right in the middle of it, and you can't even see and recognize the things that you have that keep you going. And it's so, so hard sometimes. Love you too, brother. I really miss you. You are the reason I try to keep my wisdom. Thank you, Alan. Appreciate that, my man. Makes you feel better. I'm going to prison tomorrow. Got a lot to tell you. Short version, tired of saying someday. I, I hope that's a terrible dad joke in there about you going to prison. Uh, yeah, please text me, Schwinn, please. Anyways, guys, thank you for being here with me. Thank you for allowing me a space that is safe to explore and talk and express. It is so cathartic and it is becoming so healing. And if I haven't said it to each of you enough, I genuinely love and appreciate you for who you are to me, who you are in my life, the memories we've shared, and what you represent to the hope I'm now hoisting on to a future version of myself. Trust and believe that I could not do that without you. And if I am any measure of the man that you all claim that I am in your life, I want to offer a sincere and humble thank you. But I only get to be that person because I have people like you in my life. And I mean that sincerely. I love you guys. Thanks for jumping on. Let's do this again soon, shall we? But anyways, if you're not subscribed, also shameless plug. If you see this here, jump over to the YouTube and give us subscribe there. More coming. Love you guys. Talk to you soon.